Hello and welcome to our brand new show, Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison Lagrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. US President Donald Trump signs an executive order imposing aggressive economic sanctions against the International Criminal Court, accusing it of illegitimate actions targeting the US and Israel. The European Union hails the impeding disconnection of the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania from Russia's power grid, calling it a victory for freedom and an end of Russian blackmail. The UN's nuclear body chief visits Moscow to hold talks with the head of Russia's state nuclear corporation amid nuclear safety concerns in Ukraine and at the Zaporizhzhia plant. And Taiwan detects 6 Chinese balloons off the island as Beijing maintains military pressure to push its claim over sovereignty. And India's central bank cuts interest rates for the first time in nearly 5 years. The 25 basis point cut is expected to bring relief for the middle class and to boost housing demand. Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest from India. The Asian giant is set for a major defense boost from its long-standing defense partner, Russia. In a major thrust to its naval arsenal, India will receive anti-ship cruise missiles from Russia. After the two countries signed a defense procurement contract, reports say that the deal involves the procurement of the Klub S missile system, specifically designed for submarines. Reports claim that India will procure at least 20 Klub S anti-ship cruise missiles, valued at nearly $200 million. The Klub S missiles have a 400-kilogram warhead payload. They are capable of destroying both naval and land targets up to 300 kilometers away. These anti-ship missiles can travel faster than the speed of sound, making interception by enemy forces incredibly difficult. These missiles will power the Indian Navy's 7 Sindhughosh-class submarines. Now, the Indian Navy submarines of class Sindhughosh, which literally means roar in the sea, have been critical for New Delhi's power projection in the Indo-Pacific in recent years. With the Klub S missiles from Russia, India aims to enhance the firepower of these undersea giants. The enhanced naval capabilities are likely to elevate New Delhi's strategic positioning in the Indo-Pacific, amid China's expansionist belligerence in the region. The new missiles will also simultaneously facilitate Indian Navy's continued maritime preeminence in the Arabian Sea and in the Bay of Bengal. The deal for the Klub S missiles is only the latest in the decades-old defense partnership between New Delhi and Moscow. Both sides describe defense cooperation between them as an important pillar of their special and privileged strategic partnership. India is the largest recipient of Russian arms exports. Between 2019 and 2023, 36% of India's arms imports were sourced from Russia. This includes the S-400 missile defense system, as well as joint production of the BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles, among others. Russia accounts for over 50% of India's in-service military platforms. In February of 2024, India and Russia agreed to build 6 civil nuclear power plants in Tamil Nadu state. Not just defense, the economic cooperation between the two sides has also been key to their elevating bilateral ties. Despite the evolving geopolitical realities influenced by the ongoing war in Ukraine. Now, as of 2023, the India-Russia bilateral trade stood at $68 billion. The two sides aim to increase it to $100 billion by the end of this decade. Now, connectivity initiatives, including the Chennai-Vladivostok Maritime Corridor and the International North-South Transport Corridor, have also been launched, with an aim to enhance economic mobility at cheaper costs. India also benefits significantly from access to the discounted Russian crude oil, which increased from less than 2% of India's total imports before the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war in February of 2022 to over 40% in June of 2024. India has not only resisted the Western pressure to reduce its oil dependence on Russia, but has vehemently defended these imports, citing national interests. This to fuel the economic and defense cooperation. India and Russia have held annual summits since 2000. Between the years 2014 and 2024, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin have reportedly met 17 times. The two sides are also negotiating a visa-free access for each other's citizens, with an aim to enhance people-to-people connection. The ties between New Delhi and Moscow have climbed up the strategic ladder with very few moments of bilateral differences. The historical affinity due to the Soviet support for India during the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War and nuclear tests in later decades continue to follow the current era of the India-Russia bilateral bonhomie. And moving on from India's military to boost to Saudi Arabia's. Now, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is further strengthening the kingdom's military with a colossal defense budget in a bold display of military ambition. Now, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has allocated $78 billion for defense spending in the year 2025. This is up from $75.8 billion, which was spent in 2024. It accounts for 21% of the government's total expenditure for the year, 7.1% of the GDP, and for 3.1% of global defense expenditures. Riyadh has witnessed a 4.5% annual defense growth since 1960. Now, the new defense budget allocation makes Saudi the fifth largest defense spender across the world, and one with the largest military expenditure in the Arab world. Now, the expanded budget underscores MBS's unwavering commitment to military supremacy. Historically, Saudi Arabia is one of the largest defense importers in the world. In 2023, Saudi Arabia was the fifth largest arms buyer. Its main suppliers of weapons have been the United States, France, South Korea, Turkey, Spain, and Russia. The United States has sold air-to-air missiles, missile software, and spare parts to Riyadh. It also provides technical assistance from contractors and logistical support. Now, Washington is the primary source of arms for Riyadh. Riyadh also recently bought Russian-made air defense systems in a deal estimated to be worth over $2 billion. It has also imported hundreds of missiles and defense communication systems from Moscow. From Turkey, Saudi is in negotiations to finalize a $6 billion deal that involves procurement for tanks, warships, and missile systems. Saudi Arabia is also signing a deal to buy Turkish Baykar drones. Now, Riyadh has also shown an interest in acquiring Rafale fighter aircraft from France's Dassault Aviation. Last year, Saudi Arabia became a buyer of the South Korea's medium-range air defense system in a deal that was valued at $3.2 billion. Now, keeping in mind Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's vision of 2030, Saudi Arabia is expanding its military power. The kingdom aims to decrease its dependence on oil and to boost other sectors based on national production. As a part of Vision 2030, Saudi aims to localize 50% of all defense spending. It has also been pushing major global defense firms to open regional headquarters in the kingdom. The Crown Prince, MBS's Vision 2030, is solidifying Saudi Arabia's position as a key player across sectors, and now especially in defense with strategic partnerships. Now, this increase in defense spending by Riyadh also comes at a time when West Asia remains on edge with the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. And shifting our focus to the Korean Peninsula, a new North Korean map shows a revised depiction of South Korea in what is being seen as Kim Jong-un's further breakaway from reunification goal with the South. The map, reportedly uploaded last week on the Chinese social media, labels administrative districts only for North Korea. The South Korean districts were left blank in a grey area. Now, the new North Korean map labeled its neighbors simply as South Korea, and this is a departure from the previous North Korean practice of labeling Seoul's territories as Puppet Korea. A denounced suggestion that implied that South Korea was not an independent country. Now, the new North Korean map only confirms what its leader Kim Jong-un has been saying and doing recently. In October of 2024, the North Korean leader said that Pyongyang has given up on the long-held idea of unifying Korea by force, and that North Korea is not even conscious of the South Korea's existence. In recent years, the tensions have intensified between the two countries as Pyongyang continues to pursue its UN-sanctioned nuclear and missile programs. The border shared by the two countries has often edged closer to an armed confrontation. Amid these tensions, the long-held Korean unification goal has been pushed even further from reality. Now, in January of 2024, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un told the country's rubber-stamp parliament that South Korea is the country's primary foe. In the same month, North Korea dismantled Monument of National Reunification in the capital, Pyongyang. In October of 2024, North Korea amended its constitution to label the South Korea a hostile state. And in the same month, North Korea destroyed road and rail links with South Korea. Later in December 2024, North Korea reportedly dissolved all official organizations responsible for handling inter-Korean affairs. And this was seen as another leap backward from the reunification goal.
Looking at the fact that the North Korean Foreign Ministry absorbed and integrated all South Korea-related organizations, including the United Front Department, it seems as if North Korea is viewing inter-Korean relations as a subconcept of North Korea-US relations. In that respect, South Korea cannot help but be concerned about the fate of the Korean Peninsula being left to North Korea and the United States.
Meanwhile, despite Pyongyang's leap back from the reunification goal, Seoul has not yet abandoned the goal of peaceful unification of the Korean Peninsula based on principles of democracy.
The South Korean government will consistently carry on the principle, peaceful unification based on the liberal democratic basic order.
For decades, North Korea had demanded to be reunited with the South, but always on its terms. Now that is no longer the case. Has Korean Peninsula moved the farthest from reunification goal? And has Kim Jong-un finally given up on his dream of Korean unification? Let's talk about birth control today. It's a topic so politically charged that it can cause a global meltdown, family feuds, and internet wars. But who knew that in 2025 we would be debating elephant contraception? Yes, in an unexpected twist, Thailand is stepping into the world of reproductive rights. Only this time, it's not about humans. It's about wild female elephants. For decades, conservationists have worked tirelessly to protect Asia's endangered elephants, and their efforts seem to have paid off. Thailand's wild elephant population is now growing at an annual rate of 8%. Now, this sounds like great news until you realize their forests are not growing with them. As a result, elephants have been wandering out of their increasingly cramped habitats, casually strolling into farmland, homes, and occasionally humans themselves. Let's just say they are not exactly being welcomed with open arms. Last year alone, these accidental intrusions led to 4,700 incidents. This included 19 human deaths and 22 injuries, and hundreds of cases of damaged property and farmlands. Farmers, understandably, are frustrated, and the elephants are just hungry. Now, to tackle the problem, Thai authorities are rolling out a rather unconventional solution: birth control for wild elephants. A select group of 20 females who have already had calves will receive Spray-Vac. It is a contraceptive injected via a dart gun. Because even veterinarians know that asking a wild elephant to take this pill daily is a logistical nightmare. Now, the effects will last 7 years, giving the forests and humans a little breathing room. And before you ask, no, this isn't some wild experiment. South Africa has been using birth control on wild elephants for years, and last year Thailand tested Spray-Vac on 7 domesticated elephants with no apparent side effects. Still, not everyone is convinced. As with things involving reproductive rights, controversy is inevitable. Some campaigners argue that not enough research has been done to assess the long-term effects of elephant birth control. Others worry about interfering with a species that has been endangered since 1986. And then there's the cultural aspects. Now, elephants are not just wildlife in Thailand, they are a national symbol, deeply woven into the country's history and identity. Last year, couples in Thailand exchanged vows atop elephants on Valentine's Day.
The ceremony is sacred, which makes anyone wants to have a wedding atop of the elephants. It's like a spiritual belief of Thai people, because elephants are considered household and city companions, as well as a symbol of national prosperity.
But as officials point out, the goal is not to end elephant reproduction, to slow it down. Of course, birth control alone won't solve Thailand's elephant-human conflict. Authorities are also using patrol teams to monitor the wandering elephants. They are building barriers to keep them away from farms and are also offering compensation to affected farmers. Some also suggest reclaiming land around forests to give the elephants more space. But in areas where industry and human settlements are already established, it's easier said than done. So will it work? That remains to be seen. The plan is set to roll out before the end of the year. However, one thing is certain. This is probably the first time in history that an elephant's love life has been a matter of national security. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again at the same time on Monday. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.